Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us on, I guess, what is kind of like a new little fun project that we've started here. And if you're into human design, if you're into soul contracts and really want to understand the intricacies of how it all works, be sure to check out the first video that we posted on. We really just kind of got into, okay, how each of you, Hi, and Lindsey, how you each got into human design and soul contracts. And then we compared my chart, my soul contract chart, and my human design chart. And we really like the whole purpose of this is to see how all these modalities, they're really giving you the same information. They're trying to drive home the same stuff for you to be like, oh, this is a repeating pattern, or oh, this is how I move and function in life. And it can help me, or I can shift it, right? Because I'm an emotional generator. I think me, Hi, and Lindsey, we're all emotional generators. No, just me.
Generators.
Yeah.
I'm
What did I
manifesting
say? Oh, you're
generator.
just regular. Okay. So I'm the only
Yes.
emotional, which of course my
Yes.
emotions, okay, I wear them on my sleeve. Okay. But although I think we have another emotional component coming up. But today we're not comparing my charts. We're comparing your charts, Lauren. And so why
Mm.
don't you let people know a little bit? I mean, listen, anybody who follows my YouTube channel, who watches our stuff knows that you're just one of the fabulous, most magical women where we do Your Soul Wisdom podcast and we have like the time of our lives. But why don't you let people know how you got into kind of a little bit of your background, how you got into soul
Mhm.
contracts, and then whatever interests you may have in human design.
Mm. Okay. Thanks for inviting me on, guys. I'm very, very excited to hear all about me. But so how I got into this work, I've always had an interest, I guess, in sort of the unseen and the psychic things in life and, spirits and all sorts of things. It's always had my interest since I was really, really little. But it was really, I guess, late 20s, and I started doing healing work and, various modalities. And a few years into that, I then discovered soul contracts, right? So it's like I was always interested in healing and nutrition and psychic work. But the first time I sort of ever really stepped into something where I was like, oh my goodness, I can really do something with this, and I felt really passionate about it, was soul contract. Um, and, the thing that really drew me to it is I just have such a passion for helping people really learn about who they truly are without all the noise of the outside world. And I really felt as though Soul Contract gave people that understanding so they could cultivate, I guess, love and compassion for themselves, but also for others, knowing that we all have these things in our lives. And human design, obviously I'd heard about it a lot and I had some interest in it, but it was sort of, I was so immersed in soul contract. I was like, I can't even think about another thing, and I really want to master this. But as time went on, I started reading a bit about it. A few practitioners told me a few things about it. And I actually really want to study it. So I'm super interested in what happens today and what comes out. So I guess for me, it's all very much about healing and a greater understanding of self so people can move forward in their lives with a lot more peace in their hearts, I guess.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
really quickly before we get started, a thought that came into my mind is like in soul contracts, we are able to put multiple charts next to each other to see are there any clashes? Are there any challenges? Are there any like is there resonance, right? How do we help each other in a way? So, is that possible for human design too? Yes.
Oh, yes. So it's almost like
Oh.
connecting the energies, right? Like, so how you would read it is we'll pop up the chart in a bit, but you'll see where there's like those colored lines. We call those gates. So what happens is that gate energy is always looking for its partner on the other side if it's not colored in. So you're trying to seek out that other person who has this to complete the energy, so then it completes that channel and it gives you that oomph, right? Or if you have one of like the centers, if it's not colored in and someone else has it, like you're going to borrow their energy and be like, hey, I just need a
Mm.
little bit of piece of you right now. So, or this idea or whatever it may be. And you borrow that energy in order to complete that portion of yourself.
Is it almost like a magnet where one's one polarity and one's the other, and it's like together it
Yep.
neutralizes? Or yeah.
And you know what's so interesting? I think it's like between Yiannah, me, and Lindsey, we had so many like aspects that were the same. And then when I looked at yours, I'm like, oh, uh-huh. Yep. Like we magnetize people, right? Like with these
Mm.
energies. So I just thought that was interesting. But yes, you can.
I love that. For another time, for another gathering. Okay, so why don't we just get into it and let's pull up Lauren's chart. Okay, so we have pulled up here on the left, we have Lauren's soul contract birth chart. These are all her beautiful energies. And on the right, we have Lauren's human design chart. And so I'm just going to let you ladies just get into it because I'm excited to, while I know on a soul contract level all about Lauren, I want to keep diving in. So now I'm all ears.
All right. Let's start with your type, Lauren. You're an emotional manifesting generator. The emotional side of it is you have an emotional authority. You need to have emotional clarity with your decisions. Like you need to take your time. Like not saying you can't make a spur of the moment decision, but it needs to be something that you feel content with when you think about it. But on big decisions, you really need to go back and take your time, sit with it and see how you feel, because really the ultimate way that you know that you're making the right decision is to be happy and content. So that's the emotional side. The manifesting generator side is you're combining a manifester and a generator. You're combining those energies into one. And so actually an interesting thing is manifesting generators make up 30% of the population. So while you ignite the idea, you also have the drive to keep it going. You have the motor. So like the other three of us are generators. So we have the motor, but we don't usually ignite the idea. A manifestor or somebody else gives us that, and then we keep it going. But you have the power to do both, to ignite and keep it going. And also a little tidbit about this one. A lot of times manifesting generators will have several jobs. Like they'll bounce from career to career to career. Or idea,
So many.
right? So we know a number that correlates to that. But so many ideas going on, so many jobs you're just basically trying things out to see how they fit and what really resonates with you. There's no right or wrong. You're supposed to try something, be like, this isn't working for me, and stop. That's like you're meant to do that. It's okay to do that. Even if society tells you pick something and stick with it, you're not meant to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a
That's very
manifesting
true.
generator too. So
Okay.
I totally, yeah.
Yes.
Lauren, when you're laughing at that, I'm like, uh-huh, she gets it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, hi,
Yeah.
did you say you're an emotional manifesting generator or
No,
just a manifesting
just a
generator?
manifesting generator. So Lauren's emotional, so she has to go through the waves of the emotion. For me, I'm a sacral. So I'm noisy. So what a sacral means is I'm gonna be like grunting a lot and like like I'm just a noisy person because I have to make the noise and check in with my sacral to see if it's a good decision or not. So when I make the noise, they say when you make the noise as a sacral person, it actually bypasses your brain. It's almost like your intuition, like how it works.
Lauren, how does that resonate with you?
It's really very true. So, because I am interested in many things and I can do many things, I have probably said yes to things too quickly without letting the emotions settle, because I'm like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. I can do that. I can, And so then after a little while, when I'm not feeling so happy and content, I'm actually feeling, and I can see the words frustration and anger, then I sort of go, what have I done? But the thing is, there is a lot of energy there, but it's sort of like exploded out and in so many directions because of choices I've made where I probably haven't let the emotions settle, as you've said. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's tie that into your soul contract. Okay, so
Mhm.
you've got your sixes and your nines, right? Which create that frustration. And that
Mhm.
nine pushes against that frustration, which when we feel stuck, when we feel like we've done the wrong thing, when we feel like we could fail, when we feel procrastination, all these things, the nine triggers that frustration into anger, right? Okay, of course, that's just like that challenge aspect of it. And so like I love how that shows up in both charts because it's very, very valid. But do you also have um do you also have the two frequency in a common name?
Yes.
Do you have it as an
Um,
11-2 or a 20-2?
no, a two.
Oh, that's right. A 2-2. Okay. So that is
Yeah.
the emotional component because I was like, I need that emotion somewhere in this chart. And so
Mm,
that too, we know it's very much that up and down. And it's about making those foolish decisions to come into that wisdom. We even talked about on my podcast, on my episode where we went over my chart because you want to say yes right away. You want to take the opportunity. You act on emotion. And then you're like, I really shouldn't have done that. I should have just taken my time and taken that bird's eye view and made the best decision possible for for my not my highest good, but like the best, most optimal outcome.
mm.
So,
And I don't know what you think, just jumping in here, but about the 14-5
mhm,
as well a little bit, because fives can be impulsive, we know, in different ways.
mhm.
But the 14-5 being that very empathic type of energy that's very sensitive to the energies of others. And then also probably relating into the nines and sort of wanting to keep the peace. It can be that sort of like, I know exactly how to put my energy out into the world to make everybody happy. And then I don't have to feel uncomfortable with people not being happy, right? Or the peace not being kept. So I feel like there is a little bit of a component there as well.
Yeah. I love how it
Mm,
shows up in so many different areas. And it's like a very prominent, you're like, yeah, it completely resonates. It completely makes sense. And so,
mm.
okay. All right. What do we got
And
next?
it's interesting. Can I just add too, though? I know it's, when you were talking about the nines, I was just thinking about, really we connect resistance in with the nines. And I do feel like there is almost an ignoring or resistance to sort of that emotional knowing in a way. I know it's a little bit different, but like the power does come from that emotional like feeling into things and moving from that place. So it's almost like the resistance of the nines is coming in and sort of blocking that. And also because of the sixes being so rigid and stubborn, it's like, well, I've made this decision now. I've just got to see it through to the end. And so I think one of the biggest things that, that Lindsey said earlier for me is like, you are meant to do that. And it's okay to go, oh, this doesn't work for me, because I have a really hard time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have permission to change your mind. I mean, anybody does, but especially with your
But it's hard
emotional,
for me. Yeah.
I know, but that emotional side of you, give yourself permission that if you wake up the next day and you're like, that just doesn't, that's not going to work, that's permission to change your mind. Like that is your, your body, your soul trying to tell you we made the wrong decision. Let's change it. Let's make it right. Let's make ourselves feel happy and content. And you did say something about this theme over here where it says satisfaction, frustration. What I tell people a lot of times when you're questioning if you're in alignment or not, when you're in alignment, you're going to feel satisfied. When you're out of alignment, you're going to feel that frustration and anger. So that's a really good, quick indicator to let yourself know, engage where you're at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, this gate 36 right here. So that is the gate they call the crisis. It's an emotional crisis gate. So it's all about also that overcoming emotional adversity. So you're going to attract these emotional experiences, right? Because this is the emotional center and it's going to feel like a crisis. But what happens is you're just so resilient. And by you understanding that and navigating through these challenges, it's just going to make you stronger.
Mm, okay, that's super interesting.
Would you equate
Um,
that to all your nines? maybe experiencing challenges in that disempowerment or that
You know what? I've got a 21-3 in my common name from birth.
okay.
Spiritual. I've got a spiritual talent 21-3. So
So that
yeah,
hardship comes in. Those challenges are, yeah, they come in. Got it.
they do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What we got next, ladies?
Okay, profile 3-6.
Actually, I'll just add hi. You
Yeah.
know, because I'm well aware of all of the challenges, and it's true. It's like I'm a magnet for them, but it's just so nice to go, well, this is why, and you're not actually screwing anything up.
You're not.
No,
And
not
here,
at all.
that's like a perfect lead way into this profile as a 3-6. So all of us have threes in our profile numbers, and I think we all have it as the first number. So this is how we view ourselves internally and see ourselves. So the 3 is all about trial and error. And it's basically you're sticking spaghetti to a wall. You're trying everything out and seeing what actually sticks in life. So a lot of people who don't know this, and I read their design and they're like, yeah, I just thought I was doing life wrong. And I just have to keep continually trying things over and over and over. But in reality, it's actually my gift because that's showing me what actually works and what's not serving me when I'm not in alignment, right? The 6, on the other hand, actually goes through 3 phases of life. So 0 to 20 years, you actually still act like a line 3. So it's like double the trial and error through your 20s. Yeah. And then after that, so your 20s to your 50s, I believe you're on the roof. So you're observing everything that you did in your 20s. And then you get off the roof, and then you're able to basically take all of that learning and incorporate it into your life by the time you're 50.
9 years to go. We're good. Then I'll be like, know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
You know what? Here's what I want to say. I feel like, because we're all very close in age, right? Lindsey, how old are you?
I'll be 43 next week.
Yeah, so we're all like early 30s. Okay.
We wish.
Let's go backwards.
We're all early 40s. Let's be honest, okay? And so like there is this like societal expectation by the time you're 40, by the time you're 30, by the time you're 35, you should have life figured out. You should be like have success and abundance and all this stuff. But it's like when you actually look at the research, the highest success as far as career and finances and all that stuff in the average person's life is somewhere between 55 and 64. That's when people really get it. And so it's really important to give ourselves grace where we're like, especially us with the 5s and the 6s and the 10-1s, we're going from one thing to the next, what feels right in that moment. And it's like, we may not be sitting here doing this 5 years from now. We may be doing something else. And so accepting that and being like, that's okay. That's cool. Like this is serving me now. Whatever's coming is coming. And knowing that we will absolutely step into that moment of like, oh, I've arrived. It's so important to give that grace because I think it's easier to beat ourselves up over like, I should know what the next 20 years of my life looks like. And if you ask me what 2 years looks like for me, no idea. Zero. Usag. Except, continuing the podcast and continuing growing this beautiful like community of like awesomeness, like awesome people. Like us outside of that, not a single thing, nothing. And I'm finally okay with that. Yeah.
So I'm curious how the 3-6 ties into soul contracts.
I completely forgot exactly what we said about 3-6. The emotion. I know
the trial and error.
Well, the 3 is trying everything out,
trying everything
right?
out.
Which, I would relate to a 15, but I don't have one. But you could relate it to the 6 in a way. But I don't know.
Because you're kind of bringing those ideas, right, down.
Lots of ideas and trying lots of different things. For sure. Yiannah?
And then what was the 6?
The six, so there's three
The first, yeah, like the first 20 years, I'm still doing the three. The next 30 years after that, I'm like observing. And
Mhm.
then after I'm 50, I'm sort of walking, talking, mastering,
See,
living from experience.
everything that has been said so far with you, Lauren, like I just see this huge 11 too. That's the
Mm.
energy I pick up and I can't shake it.
Well,
And
I do have a C in my middle name from birth.
yeah. So, okay, that energy is there.
Mm.
The energy is there. And you have a two, you said. You
But
have a
that's
two.
my common name now.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
The I like can't shake it. Listen, I've been able to not shake things and they've come to fruition. I have found that number. I have found all so we need to keep looking that up because that's the only thing I can it's like it won't go away. So
Okay.
we're gonna let that settle and come back to it. We're gonna find that 11 too.
Mm.
Okay. Next.
Mm.
No?
No, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else sort of relating to the six energy. I mean, from what you ladies know, human design wise and soul contract wise, Lindsey and Hi, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean the sixes, you have gate two as well. So where is gate two? Right here.
Mm.
So that is all about, it's like the gate of ideas, turning all these visions into reality. So with this gate, it's it is the six to me, right? It's
Yeah.
turning ideas that come to you into reality, but it's actually knowing when it's an idea for you to act on, right?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
feeling it and going through the waves of the emotion. So there's another six. I know there's so many gates here that also write into that. Let me look. I don't memorize all my gates, everyone. So I have my cheat sheets down
I
here.
mean,
If you
there's
see,
like a million of them.
There are
There
so many
is.
gates. Yeah.
And there's
Okay.
so much, there's different like authors of books. And so you can just kind of like similar to soul contracts, you can interpret it a little different, but depending on who you've really studied or whose book you've read, you may come up with a little bit of a different definition for the gates. I mean, they all correspond to the same thing, but kind of like with the two she's saying, I think of it also as a more feminine energy gate, like a a yin, where it's you're kind of learning things and then showing others, which also can go
Mm.
along with that six in the
What
profile.
about the four?
That too. Yeah,
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, the 22-4 was kind of coming to my mind a little bit with this. I wasn't sure how to, but the
for
22-4 might
sure.
be playing in. Yeah.
I want to redeem myself because I have found
Oh,
11 too.
what?
In your middle name,
Mm.
when you do
Yeah.
the chart of your middle name, you ready for the
Oh.
frequencies?
Ah.
You've got 9, 9, 11, 2,
Yeah.
5, 5.
Hmm.
Oh.
And so that absolutely exists. That is very present, even though you don't use your middle name. The energy is there. And I knew it had to be somewhere. But what's so crazy to me is it feels so strong, even though it's not one of the major main seven frequencies that are of focus, if you will. But
Mm.
although it is in your middle name. And so
Okay.
that's very there. And then you know what's interesting? 11 and 22, they're master numbers. In general, 11 and 22 are master numbers, right? 11-2 is just the double, or I'm sorry, 22-4 is just the double of the 11-2. So even though this is not part of like what we work on and what we're taught and the energy of these frequencies, in my mind, the way I've kind of been, I see it through like all the readings and the clients and stuff. I feel like it's like that 22-4 really is also this amplification of the 11-2. So it's
Mm.
interesting to me that you actually have the 22-4 in your chart and that 11-2. I'm digressing a little bit, but to me, like it just feels like there's something more there
mm-hmm.
than we've even like put our finger on, if that makes
Oh,
sense at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yep. Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, more on the 11 too, since now we know it's there, right? Gate, where's gate nine on here? Oh, hold on. Let me
in
clear.
the pink box.
Mm.
There we go. Thank you. So it shows on your design and your personality side. So the black and the red. So
Oh,
gate
okay.
9 is all about focus and aligned action. So I think that has to do with the 11 too, right? It's using all that focus and also manifesting dreams from it. So being able to take that focus. So if you are a bit more scattered, then it's like the shadow side, right? So how do I start focusing in on things and doing what's aligned in order to make those dreams and manifest it to come true?
Or is that the
Mhm.
6-6?
It's 6
Oh,
as well.
that
Yeah.
is
The focus is, yeah.
Yeah. And that scattered energy. Oh, that's a tough one when you have it. Lauren, we have the same physical karma. We both know that very well.
We do. Oh my goodness. And my daughter has the same one too. So good luck to me.
And mine, right? See, I mean, it's wild. Yeah. So Lauren and I both have that 6-6 karma clash with our daughters.
Yeah.
But the beauty of knowing this work is that you know how to work with it in a way where everybody wins.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm still learning.
Well, I think it's also interesting here too, you guys. Both of you have this completely open head center.
Tell me about that.
So we were just talking about this in the last podcast because Yiannah is completely open too. So that is, think of your crown, right? You're open. This is
Mhm.
where ideas come through. Because you're open, basically, you take on ideas of others. You're more open to divine, right? Like versus someone who has it closed, they're in their head a lot. Like they're the
Mm.
ones just in their heads and it's like wheels just going and going and going. But you're just
That sort of
open.
feels 5-y to me.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
what I said last time. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but that can be a difficult thing if you're open as well. Can you be influenced too much by the others?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
that
it's
14-5 too, right? One of the elements to it is that it takes on other people's like habits and traits. Like they start almost like acting like the person that they're dating or always hanging out with. Like they speak the same and they have the same mannerism. They like take it on.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it is really important to understand where your individuality is. Yeah.
Yes, which is very much the 14-5, right? Because that journey is all about who am I? That
Yeah.
goes, for the whole lifetime. So that's interesting.
well, also your G center right here, who am I, is colored
Mm.
in. So you know who you are. It's it's very defined.
Okay. Which center is that? Is it did
That's
I
the
relate
heart.
to chakras or okay. So that yeah, it's shaped like a heart. Should know that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the center of knowing who you are. And actually you
Mm.
have a lot of this in the 10 to 20. That's the
Mm-hmm.
awakening channel also. So I'm going to blend it a little bit here, but it's fully loving yourself and fully accepting yourself and fully trusting yourself, right? And not hiding yourself.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
In that channel to really wake up. Because by you doing that and loving yourself more, that's what you're going to inspire people to do more for themselves.
Mm. Yeah, and
That's
that's actually really speaks to a huge part of my journey so far, I would say.
And that is your 7-7,
Hmm.
which that 7-7 is that beautiful heart chakra. And not only that, as you heal yourself, you heal that little girl, that inner child, it radiates to other people
Mm.
and it impacts them as well. Some people may get triggered because you're triggering where
Yeah,
they're
because
feeling.
seven's catalytic, right?
Yeah.
So it's a catalytic energy.
Yeah.
But I
So
do feel like the sevens show people that potential, like what is
Mm-hmm.
possible,
Yeah.
and then get
Also
them
with
moving.
that channel, you can start out disempowered because
Mm.
you have to be vulnerable and you have that fear of being vulnerable. And so you back down and you won't really speak your truth and really love who you are, be out of that fear of putting yourself out there. So it's the 9 also of that disempowerment.
Mm.
Well, and that disempowerment too, you see in that seven.
Mm-hmm.
So if you combine the two, it's like that disempowerment comes from those sevens at some point felt like they weren't safe or they couldn't trust their environment.
Mhm.
And they went in. And when they felt that, they shut down. And now you've got to move these walls and these mountains to get like this far in. Well, they will allow you to see their true, real, raw, authentic version of themselves. And so it's interesting that your spiritual triangle is the sevens, the heart chakra,
And the nines.
disempowering nines. Yeah.
Yeah, because very much, I remember when I was little too, like my mum always used to say to me, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You just cannot do that. Like basically just like, and there were many, many things that made me shut down that energy. And this is the thing that is disempowering for me because I feel like that's one of my actual strengths in the world. So I feel like, what you were saying about the loving, the accepting, the being open, the being, vulnerable, it's actually where my power lies in a way, which is what I'm sort of starting to realize maybe, just recently. So it's very interesting that that's all in the spiritual triangle and that very much relates to that heart center.
Yeah, and even more so, this 27 to 50 preservation. This channel is all about caring. It cares deeply about people, like to the core, and value. Oh, I just got chills. Just values like the group, like the values so much that you want to pass those values on, right? And and care for everyone. So it's that nurturing and that support that you're talking about right now that's like clearly showing within that channel.
That's really interesting because, I mean, there have been many times in different situations, where I feel deeply about everything. And if you're going through something, I'm going through it too. And I don't mean to, it just actually is a part of me, right? I don't feel like I'm trying to do it. And it's almost like if I go into that energy, I get sort of this web and I'm able to see all of the different aspects or feel all of the different aspects that are going on. So in conversations I may have with my husband, I'll be like, oh, but this and they're going through this, this and this. And he's like, I'm pretty sure other people don't think about that when you're going through stuff. Like, what are you doing? As in, because he has concern for me and my energy. Because, obviously I'm still learning to master it, but it's like there is a deep part of me that doesn't feel like I'm doing the wrong thing or it's a bad thing to do. But it's like, how do I work with this so that it becomes my superpower, not at the detriment of myself? But it is definitely something that I feel like is a very interwoven part of my being.
Yeah, and that's actually that gate 20 too that we were just talking about earlier, right? With your 10 and 20. It's because that's the now energy in the 20. So what you're able to do is you draw wisdom from basically the past and the future, and you close that gap between the two to make the action for the present time. So by
That's
you
really
like
interesting.
feeling all of that, right? And what you were just saying with that. Like,
So would that be your
It's-
time traveling 5 frequency?
14.5 maybe, but possibly, and maybe the 22.4. I've sort of felt like, because it's almost like I feel like it's like a web, or like I'm feeling into the multiverse in a way. Don't want to make myself sound like a superhero or anything, but I feel like I do travel the multiverse a little bit, because it's interesting when like a serious situation comes up. I know exactly where the potential is of where it could end up in so many ways, where it's not that I'm living in the future, but I do use that information in the now. And I do find it hard to at times navigate with other people who perhaps don't do that. And everyone thinks I'm just being dramatic or I'm worrying too much about something, but it's like I know that that's a potential. So I work with all of that information and that informs me, which is super interesting what you said about the 10-20. But it can be difficult in the day-to-day when other people aren't doing that. you know. It's like there was a very specific situation where I was concerned about something, and I did have a friend say, "Oh, but Lauren, you're always looking for things." It's like, no, I'm not looking for them. I know them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's that attraction that we were just talking about, right? With that,
Mm.
like how your energy, I think it's partly, now I'm doing this a little bit more intuitively, but like you're attracting that, but you also, like on the other side, we were just talking about your nurturing and your caring, you know how to bridge the two.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
look, you don't have the 8 in your birth chart.
Oh, no, but I do have it in,
In
yeah.
your married name, optimized name?
No, in my phonetic name.
Ah, okay. So that 8 is in there. That 8 is very present
Mm-hmm.
for you. So it's about
Mm-hmm.
merging those, essentially the 5s and the 8s, right? That's what we're talking about. And so bringing in that nurturing, the 8s are so nurturing. They're also overgiving and oversharing. They're problem solvers. They want to do for other people. And it's about finding that beautiful balance where you're also not sacrificing yourself and you're well within your boundaries so you could feel good about what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me. I've had to sort of come to a point where it's where you're seeing really other people's consciousness and going, okay, they're just not there. And how can I step forward in this situation with the most consciousness from my perspective, honoring where everyone else is at,
Mhm.
which is, something I'm still working. I've gotten a lot better at it. I find it challenging, very, very challenging to do, but I'm getting better, and that's something I would, I feel is important to strengthen even more so. Um, just in terms of because otherwise I do get sort of that frustration, right? That comes through very strongly, but yeah, it's a big one for me.
Yeah, and that comes through also in like the gate 28 right there, what you're talking about. It's the choice that we have. It's the struggle in life or not, right? Like we're
Mm.
either going to say I'm going to be on the struggle bus, or I'm going to choose not to be on the struggle bus and make the most of that life that I have. And that's all that is like within the 28 there.
Which is also your 22 fours. Are you going to allow your stinking thinking to create a stinking reality? Or are you going to sit in that trust and faith and know, no, I'm going to have the thing that I want. And yes, I'm going to have the success and the abundance and the love and la la la. You're thinking, you're a emotional manifesting generator, the 22 fours manifestors. So you're thinking what you actually believe you will create. And so that's such a good tie in to how that shows up.
And that's also interesting because how we talk about, we were talking about before about so many challenges having come up in my life and how I like magnetize them. So, previously on my journey where say, earlier on in my journey, it's like I find people can sit in judgment of themselves because it's like, I'm manifesting this and I'm doing all of these things wrong. And why do I keep on getting all these obstacles? Whereas I've come to the point now, it's like, something happened recently and I was like, okay, maybe this is how it is. And I've just got to work with what's happening rather than trying to, I don't know, change my energy so I can manifest things differently. I'm always taking the next best action. But I think for a long time, I was kind of feeling like, crap, I must be doing something wrong here because there are all of these challenges coming in. But it's nice to know that there's something in my chart that goes, yes, challenges are part of your reality. So,
But your chart is so beautiful. I can't remember which gate it is, but it's like you going through these struggles give others hope.
Yeah.
Like
You're
it gives them a way to rewire their own brain and to see what is possible, right? Like that's what you're here and to do, really.
like you're let's say her gate 41. That's hopes and dreams. That's transformation. That's, you know, evolving. That's you going through it and then showing others that it's possible that you can get to the other side of these things.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I love that.
Well, hold on. Don't let that moment go. Are you going to tie that into your
I said
14-5
thank
soul
you.
destiny? Where you're
She
going
said
to
I was
be
polite. I said thank you.
Yeah. So the 14-5 soul destiny in terms of, creating spiritual information from experiences and sharing them out with the world. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, because that is very helping and nurturing to other people. Like people can read it and go, "Oh, this is what she went through. Here are her reflections. This is how she came out of it." And when you read stuff like that, it almost like plants a seed on how, oh, that could be useful to me too. I can also take that approach. I can also have that attitude. I can also overcome, right? And so that is very inspiring.
Yeah. And I always
Yeah.
say when you tell your story, you give others permission to tell theirs. So when you share these things with people and show that you've been able to transform your life, it's like you're giving them the permission to do the work too, to put themselves there, in those places that are difficult but are life-changing.
And I feel like that really does relate into the sevens as well, to be honest, in this chart. Because that is being vulnerable and putting things out there that you may not necessarily feel like, are the best things ever. Yeah. And then with the 14-5, it's, it's interesting. Like I do write things that come from a place of really, they relate into my experiences and my emotions are relating to those experiences, but they come through in a way that is not necessarily like, hey, this is what happened and I did this and this and then I feel better. It's it's a different way that the writing comes through. But what I noticed was that when, with my healing sessions, it's like I may have written something 3 years ago, but I'll be in the healing session. I need to send that person this piece of writing because that's going to help shift their energy. So I'm still exploring that part of, and I feel like there's much more to that for me that I haven't yet discovered, but there is definitely something about sharing. It's like the energy the words carry more than what the words are.
Yeah, and your writing. So what's interesting is in our last podcast episode, you actually got inspired to read something that you had written. And coming up, we will be adding that to our episodes because when you actually sit in the presence of you, Lauren, reading your words, it's like the words themselves and the sound of your voice have this healing energy, this healing component. And you can just feel it like radiating out. So it's not just that, it's not just the words, it's the energy that they emanate. And it's like, I can't do that. First of all, I can't write like you to save my life. And, I'm a 5-5 soul destiny. So at some point, I will be writing something. Maybe that inspiration will hit me, but I can't sit and like write one sentence of the novel that you've written. I just can't. For you, it flows out so naturally. And that healing frequency is so much who you are. You embody it so well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
You guys have to go listen for everyone who's watching right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm waiting for her to write a book to release that.
Yeah.
That goes right into your channel of the 214.
Ooh.
So that's all about a strong sense of personal power, your individual ways of expressing yourself. So that is, let's see, 2 and 14. So it's right here, right? It's that self right into that sacral. It's that driving force. The 14 is right there driving the force of your career and opportunities. And that's where like your uniqueness shines through from there. And then this gate 2 is your G center. And that's the direction of also your career, but it seeks alignment with your individual identity. So that's how the two meet together
Mhm.
with your expression.
Super interesting.
Yeah. You're here
Wait,
to voice your own individual self.
Like unique. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, which is like my sevens have really had to get over because my sevens are like, let's hide everything, like but yeah, I'm well on my way moving past that.
can we get to her environment? Because her and I have the same
Yes.
kitchen environment.
Kitchens. Yeah, what's that
Yes.
about? I do like baking.
Oh, well, it can be that. Okay, so actually I have kitchens wet also. I'm same as Lauren. But kitchens, your environment is where you thrive, where you tend to do a lot of work in or your best work. Kind of like you thrive in that community setting, whether it be like this community, a physical community, gathering around a kitchen setting, loving to host. You like naturally get energy from that, but you also, when you do that, you are naturally putting energy out to others when you're in that environment. It's like natural alchemists. You can make something out of nothing in those environments. Kitchens people are just very creative. They get sparks of these ideas and can run with them like a six. Very much. And then the wet side, what I understand from it is kind of sometimes it can be like destinations. Do you like the beach? Do you like water? Things like that.
Water. Yeah.
Yep. That can be that wet side because I'm the same way and I love the beach. But yes, it's very much a community aspect. Loving to build community, connect with people, put your brains together and come up with a creative idea to put out into the world or to share with others.
Yeah, it's interesting because my sixes and my sevens have isolated me quite a bit, right? But now that I'm sort of feeling more comfortable in my sevens and being who I am, there are more connections coming in.
Yeah.
And working with others because I don't feel like there's something I need to hide about myself anymore.
Yeah. Well, because the right people have come into your life.
Yeah, that's right. So, and it's interesting too because I've got the 14-5, which is affected by other people's energy and does need time alone, which is still true.
Yeah.
But what happens with that 14-5 is when you have those nurturing connections, you're less depleted, I feel. So I still need the time by myself to recharge, and whatever that may be. But I guess what I'm starting to learn is I'm not necessarily going to feel depleted in a group setting. It's just about being in alignment with which group that it is.
It's being in the correct group for you.
Yeah.
You won't feel that as much drain. You're going to feel like you could not sleep at night and still be able to basically run a marathon when you are in the correct group.
Yeah.
It's going to fuel you. It's going to keep you going.
Well, listen, she wakes up really, really early to do our podcast. So that she loves the energy of that group. Okay. Because I understand as a night owl, it is really hard to get up really early to do that thing.
How early, Lauren?
So no, I get up at 5 a.m. to yeah.
That's early.
That's early.
That is early.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
But you don't feel tired because exactly. Yeah.
No. I might need some grounding afterwards because I'm just so elated.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Careful down the stairs, but
yeah. But 5 a.m. to go to some meeting that you're dreading, it's a different energy than 5 a.m.
totally
to start
different.
a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I love this too. As you guys were talking and I was looking at your chart more, I'm like your throat, your G center, your sacral, all of it is all colored in. Like this is and then you going into your nines. So let me explain a little bit more and how I'm interpreting it. It's like you're using your voice as your powerhouse there to express yourself, right? And then you see this, what we were just talking about, the 2010 that connects your self-identity. Your self-identity, you're using that to voice it out. Your self-identity also ties right into here with your sacral. And it's like getting you to go, right? And then also I'm just following the lines, you guys. You're super intuitive too, because it feeds right. Oops, I'm making more boxes instead of lines. Sorry, guys. But that 50 and 27, like that intuitiveness, right? Like this spleen center, that's all about intuition. And you have good intuition and that sensitivity.
Okay.
So I think that plays into the fives right there.
Interesting. Interesting. I actually, when I was a teenager, I was quite sick and my spleen was quite affected. Yeah, just don't know if that relates to anything. Maybe I wasn't listening to my intuition at that time, probably.
Or it could have been a lot of energy coming in.
Yes, right. That makes a lot of sense. So what does it mean with the black lines and the red lines with all these channels?
Yeah, so let me clear it out because I made a lot of marks on there. So this over here, the black portion, so that is the moment you were born and how the sky was captured. And that is more to do with your personality side, and how others perceive you, right? So this is how people can see you. So we were talking actually in the last podcast about that and how we think it's more of like the physical portion of you.
The physical triangle of the soul contract chart. The external world.
Exactly. And over here in the red is your design side. So that captures the sky actually 88 days before you were born. So it's your design side of it.
Okay.
And how you actually know yourself more deeply. So we were saying that's more of your spiritual triangle with that, how that relates.
Okay.
Yeah, we can read your chart for days on end because
I know
there's just so much
planet numbers with the gates. So there's a lot. But your incarnation cross, let's go into that. Let's see. So it's all, I love it because it ties in, I feel like everything that we've talked about. It's about your passion and just exactly what we were saying right here, going through all of the definitions over here and your centers, but it's your passion, excitement, how you go through your own things in order to inspire others. And as long as you step out of your own way and you're able to open yourself up, that's how you lead and find others to also inspire. And Lindsey, you might be able to explain that in a more eloquent way.
No, I think you did. I think that is that's like her main purpose. Your main purpose is to be here and go through things, but then show others, inspire them by what you've been through, inspire them by your stories, and just showing them that you can get through things. You can get through anything by just, healing and changing your perspective and the way you look at things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is like so validating.
Yeah.
Yeah. The incarnation crosses like your purpose. So it's like your soul.
Right. So it's like your soul. Well, which is interesting though, because, that 14-5 is that reflection of your own journey and discovering who you are, which I'm very passionate about helping others with. As well. And that's the other thing when you said passion, it's like, well, the 14s are very passionate. They really like to get in deep with something, and that's it. I really struggle talking about the weather or like current events in the world because I'm just like,
yeah,
I want to know what's deep inside of you. Like what is,
that's that Scorpio energy. Trust me, I have so much Scorpio. And so I'm just like, people are like, want to talk just about grass. I'm like, oh, I'm out. I'm done. What did you experience in your childhood? Let's go deep because I'm your person.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Let's have the deep conversation. Yeah. I can't do surface level. It's hard. It's like work.
And yes, exactly. But isn't it so interesting because I would feel like for most of my life, I was like, I don't know, I need to work towards being something, and then I'd get a challenge or an obstacle or this or that, and it would just feel like my life was full of those, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm never going to get to whatever I'm meant to be or whatever I'm meant to do, but actually all of that is exactly what's meant to be happening so that I can do what I'm meant to do. And, I just love how it just puts everything into perspective.
Yeah.
You've been doing it all along.
Yeah.
The whole time.
I feel like everyone needs to hear that, guys. You've been doing it all along.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're meant to be doing.
And your fives are glass half full. They're optimistic. They are the cheerleaders. They want to see somebody succeed. They want to be, they're like, one of the ways they're described is like, they're like the Tony Robbins of like motivation. They're like, okay, you have a goal to accomplish. How can I help you? How can I motivate you? How can I encourage you to cross over that bridge and attain your goal? And that's what the fives are. And that's who you are, Lauren.
Yeah.
You are people's cheerleader. And I think it makes it easy for people to be your cheerleader because you embody it so much that people are like, oh my God, like the way you show up, I also need to show up in that way for you because it's so genuine and you really want to see people thrive and succeed. And I hate to say it in a way where most people don't care. Most people or some people think if you have something, that means I can't have it, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And so you don't have that mindset. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's a bit Forzy, isn't it? Like if someone else has it, then you don't have it. But, it's like, no, we all got it and we can all have it and let's, have a good time.
It's proof that others can have it.
Yeah.
That your channel, that 3041 down there at the recognition at the bottom, that's like a cheerleader channel also.
Oh, is it? Oh, we didn't talk about that. Oh, fun.
Well, we did. Well, we just didn't say the cheerleading aspect, and then Yiannah just said it, and I was like, "Well, that's that."
That's that. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's also the six too, which is also the role model. So when you mesh it together with all the three stages from all your learnings and all your everything that has happened, you become the role model after you get off the roof and go through all the trial and error.
And that is very like in my common name from birth 21-3, isn't it? Because we know with the 21-3 it's like they go through a lot of experiences but then they want to share it with others to support them with their own experiences. So it all ties in. It's really amazing, isn't it? I definitely need to study this now.
I love it.
I'm like, how cool would it be to have soul contract reading as a modality, human design, and then astrology? I'm like,
and to mash them all together.
Yes, that's like I'm just, feeling into that at the moment. I'll be studying for the next 20 years, but
okay, so it's feeling like there's this energy where someone else is going to come on that's got that astrology component.
That'll be fun.
And we have all 3 points of views, seeing how they play out together. Because, it's interesting. While I get like the basics of astrology, I'm not like, I can't tell you where anything is. I always forget. I don't know. I'm in Aries. Is that my sun? I always forget. Is that my sun, my rising, my moon? What does that mean? I don't know. I just want someone to give me the answers.
Yeah, I just think it would be so fascinating because they're 3 different things that really speak to how you are made up, that draw from different energies. But I'm sure there's plenty of overlap like we've seen here too. Yeah.
Yeah. The astrology piece is all here.
Yeah. That's what
those are all the planets, right? Of how it aligned. The sky aligned when you were born, the sky, how it aligned when you were conceived.
Yeah.
Okay. So then if you are listening to this and you are proficient in astrology and it registers to you, let us know and let's see how we can add in that component because I think that would be so fun.
That would be super fun.
Yeah. Okay. Lauren, are you satisfied with your chart?
Oh, I'm so satisfied. Yeah. Thank you for telling me about me and telling me everything I've done is exactly how it should be. I love it. It is really, truly, without joking, it is very validating. And, because I've been personally moving from a place where I'm like trying to sort of fix myself to going, oh, these are actually my gifts. Everything I perceived as being something that was wrong is actually what makes me unique and they are my gifts. So it's, it really is, it's beautiful to have that reinforced and just to have, you know, more things to draw from that make me go, oh, okay, cool. I've got this, you know, I'm working with my energy. I'm not going to work against it anymore.
I
I
love
love that.
that.
Yay.
I
So
think
thank
that's your
you.
new tagline. I'm working
I'm
with
working
my
with my
energy. Oh,
energy.
I'm not, what is
I'm
it?
not
I'm not
against it
I'm not
anymore.
against it anymore. That is so beautiful. And I think that is so important for people to shift that perspective.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. I love it. So good. Okay.
Another
Listen.
quote for your book.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
well,
Or a
yeah,
title
well,
or
actually,
something.
it's true. Like, work with your energy, not everyone
Mhm.
else's, right? Because it's what we
Yeah.
do try and do in the world because
Yeah.
we're meant to do things a certain way. It's like,
Mm.
Mhm.
nope,
Mm-mm.
not anymore. Mm-mm-mm.
Okay, you guys, this was so fun. Lauren, thank you for sharing your charts with us. For anybody listening, if you want to connect with anybody from today, all the information is below. Check it out. Beautifully talented women. This is something we love. This is something we are just passionate about. It brings us so much joy. So for more information, check the notes below. We thank you for watching and we hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.